Good afternoon, everyone. Can someone turn on a camera and show me that they can hear me, please? Hi, Melissa. Hi, Linda. And we'll get going straight away. So, thank you for those that were able to come to this live presentation. There's a lot going on in the rural health space this week in Australia. So, I appreciate it. So, let's get going. And can you see the slide deck? Can I have a thumbs up for that? Great. That's good. I'll just close that. Okay, so today we're going to be talking about overcoming recruitment and retention challenges, and I'm going to introduce the Attract, Connect, Stay framework for those of you who haven't been familiar with that before. I'd just like to start with an acknowledgement of country and to take a moment to reflect on the meaning of place and connection and recognise the traditional lands we're meeting on today. I wish to acknowledge elders past, present and emerging in Gumbaynggirr country where I live, and all the elders of all the lands that we live, work and learn on, and pay my respects to their ancestral spirits with gratitude and respect. So today we're going to talk about the purpose of the Attract Connect Stay solution is to provide rural business leaders and HR professionals with practical solutions for overcoming recruitment and retention challenges for skilled workforce in rural settings. And so we're going to cover what are those recruitment challenges, introduce the framework and these 5 pillars. Let's briefly touch on pillar 1 and talk about one of the first sort of concepts that we deal with and teach, and then talk about some of the success stories from current clients. You should have an understanding of the framework at the end and how it could support you with recruitment and retention in your place. So I'm talking about rural-based businesses and services. All this research was based on healthcare, but through our experience over the last 10 years, it's equally relevant and effective for all types of businesses in rural settings. What we know is that there are frequent and long-term vacancies for skilled or other professional positions, so those that need to be recruited from outside of area, and that employers often talk about having few or no suitable candidates applying, and that some positions are impossible to recruit, and this will lead to agency or international recruiting. Larger organizations often have slow and cumbersome recruiting processes, and this can often result in losing preferred candidates. Recruiting managers feel like it's a revolving door and they're always in a process of recruiting. And they tend to be losing hope that they'll ever have a full workforce. Throw it in chat if that's your reality or it's something different. I'm just interested in seeing what your responses are. So, why does addressing these challenges matter? Business owners and recruiting managers, it's time and headspace to plan and address important services and quality issues and support your team and for your own improved job satisfaction. So, I speak to a lot of owners and managers who talk about having really low job satisfaction as a result of these recruitment workforce challenges. We know that by strengthening the team, members will feel less stressed, less stretched, and their job satisfaction improves. And for the clients or customers, they receive a better service or product. So all of those things, why it matters. But there's something else been going on since 2020. It is now, since COVID, remote and hybrid working models are now essential. And there's quite a large expectation that there'll be some mixture of those, less so for clinical roles, as being in front of the patients is important, but generally there's an appetite for these things. Um, Employee well-being is prioritized, and I'm sure you're all meeting lots of people that will say, I'm not interested in a full-time position, and they're prioritizing their work-life balance. I'm also seeing particularly younger people who, because they can't afford to purchase a house, are really prioritizing these things now that they want a better life. Technological integration is happening everywhere. AI and automation are enhancing productivity, and everybody has an appetite for that. And changing work preferences, which is this flexibility, work-life balance and job satisfaction are critical motivators. And when I work with clients, I often talk about how important it is, if we don't have to advertise a job as full-time, that we shouldn't, so that we can fish in the biggest pool possible. And all of those things can be negotiated. Better to have someone part-time who's qualified and a good fit for the team, the organization, and the community than not have anyone at all just because they don't work full time. So in Australia, we know that work-life balance is the number one issue that will attract people to jobs. Competitive salary is important. Career progression is important. Flexibility, as I've just mentioned, and strong workplace relationships. Many of those things, particularly the last one, two, three, have all featured strongly in my research. So what we're wanting is this, people are wanting this work-life equation. So salary is important, flexibility is important, and always this career development. We need to be thinking about all these things to attract. So, briefly about my PhD research. So, this was a study that was done in between 2012 and 2015. And I was looking at all factors that influence the retention of professionals working in community mental health in rural and remote settings. But subsequently, we've tested the theory and the framework in many other settings, not just community mental health. It applies to all healthcare and it applies to all skilled workforces in rural and regional. And when I use the term rural, I tend to mean rural and regional, not so much remote, but many of the factors, just the Community Connector program that I'll briefly touch on today is probably not appropriate for remote in terms of the scale is too big for a remote, but all the other factors are important. So the study was a grounded theory study, and what I had to theorize at the end, what I was finding. So I'll just quickly run through these. Turnover intention is really based on a rural professional's stay or leave decision between their life expectations and the realities of their job and rural living experience. And it's a mixture of professional factors and personal factors. And these professional factors were pretty well identified in the literature already: scope of role, workplace relationships, access to continuing professional development and career advancement. What was significant about the study was that I identified that these differed depending on career stage and time in the job. In terms of personal factors, this is probably what I'm most well known for, what we call or have termed the social determinants of attraction and retention. And this is that there was significant differences between newcomer professionals and those that were recruited locally or from the local region. For all the ones that were newcomer, social connection and meeting future life aspirations was key. So those ones that were newcomers had an adaptation process to get to this point. Over time, it's a case of always weighing these things up. There's much more to this study, and you can find on my Attract Connect Stay YouTube channel many more resources that go into that in depth, but I don't want to spend too much time on this study today. It was meant to be a good news story, this study, and it was anything but. I think of the 26 participants that I interviewed, only 2 were staying. But some other key findings were that newcomers initially felt alienated. They experienced rural places as welcoming but not inclusive. But the good news was that if we could get them to stay for at least 12 months, their sense of belonging tended to increase over time. These 3 primary elements were found to be the most significant in impacting job and personal satisfaction: life stage, career stage, and degree of familiarity with place and rural living style. So all of these are written up in peer-reviewed papers. So if that's your jam, you can find those on my website as well. To summarize, it's relatively easy to attract early career professionals in early adulthood, but difficult to attract experienced professionals in middle adulthood. It's difficult to retain early career professionals in early adulthood. And on average, you're doing quite well if you get 2 years. I think we could probably get 3 with some very good career planning for them, but generally there is quite a bit of movement around of that. And that is all about their life stage. Life stage will trump professional interests every time. But the good news is if we are lucky enough to attract an experienced professional, we're very likely to retain them for the medium to long term. After I completed my PhD, based on that research and all other literature that was focused on this issue across the globe, I developed a framework called the Attract, Connect, Stay framework because I felt that there was an urgent need in it to provide managers and business owners with something practical and useful. This is the Attract, Connect, Stay framework to translate this knowledge base into practical strategies that make a difference. Based on my research, I felt that the framework needed to be person-centered, place-based, and community-focused. This is the Attract, Connect, Stay framework. There are three domains to it: community and place, role and career, and workplace and organizational. Working in a friendly and inclusive, supportive and inclusive workplace is essential. Feeling settled in and being socially connected and having a sense of belonging and having opportunities to build skills and access career pathways. These things are all needed for both attraction and retention. So about the same time as I published the Attract, Connect, Stay framework, the World Health Organization reissued its guidelines on rural health workforce retention. And they identified that in the attract, recruit, and retain space, the parts that I focus on in my research, we needed to be a whole of community approach was needed. We needed to involve community and health stakeholders in the solutions, and we needed to bundle and tailor to the local context. Everyone's in agreement about what needs to be done. It's easy to say it in theory, quite difficult to do it in practice. This is what we've since 2016, I have worked as a consultant working directly with predominantly health services, but other employers as well in the rural and regional space. And there, the framework needed some more pillars of how we were going to put those strategies in place. And so this is what the Attract, Connect, Stay framework is. The colors are in match. So remember, this was the working in a supportive and inclusive workplace. It's the organizational domain. This is the community and place domain. And this is the role and career domain. So we need to attract a strong pool of ideal candidates, recruit the best fit candidate, settle and connecting new employees into the organization, then settle them and connect any new people and their families into the community, and then provide tailored supports in line with their career stage, life stage to foster to stay. So just a little diving deep into one of the first pillars. So an ideal candidate for a rural regional position is what I think is that they need to have the appropriate professional skills and experience. And that's really where we've been focused, because it pretty much is what I've been trying to say. You need to focus on recruiting the person rather than the professional. This is the change we need to make. It needs to be very holistic, and we need to be thinking, as I use the term, about all the things. So understanding a future employee's recruitment journey is 6 stages. There's awareness, consideration, interest, application, interview, and selection. So all of those things. So in terms of attracting a strong pool of candidates, you need to decide what your strength in workforce looks like or needs to be, and set measures in place to know how you're tracking on that. Know why your staff like to work at your organization and develop your employer value proposition. Develop a categorization system for vacancies based on the level of difficulty to recruit, and decide on relocation incentives to be offered for each hard to recruit position. So we usually have a difficult to recruit. So that's in the short to medium term, that'll be a challenge to get. And we have stubborn to recruit, which means no matter what we do, it's very difficult to attract those kinds of workers. And if we speak just for healthcare, that's usually what I would call nursing and allied health in the public sector, and GPs in the primary care sector. So all of those are really challenging and need very tailored strategies. Just to give you a bit of a taster of what the Launchpad program does, is we look at always how to embed evidence-informed strategies. The first thing we do is create an employer value proposition, and that is, its purpose is to help to attract and retain good fit top talent. And you really need to know what sets your organization apart. You need to think about what are your strengths, and it needs to be something that genuinely resonates with both current and potential employees. based on surveying current staff. So there's usually a long form and a short form. So this was Western District Health Service, which is a client that I have in Victoria. And at Western Districts Health Service, we pride ourselves on our strong teamwork, shared commitment, person-centred, high-quality healthcare to the local community. And we're dedicated to continuous professional development and supportive work environments. So join our team at Western District Health Service, where strong teamwork and a commitment to person-centred care defines our workplace. Thrive Medical is another client that is an NDIS provider, has a medical service and allied health service in Broken Hill. And when we worked with them and surveyed their staff, we came up with this. Joining Thrive Medical means becoming part of a family-oriented team where flexibility, collaboration, and patient-first mindset are key. We offer a dynamic and supportive work environment, fostering both professional growth and work-life balance. So here's what a job ad at Thrive Medical looks like. If you jump on their website, and you'll see peppered through it these things that are the employer value proposition. And we like to make sure that's in the job ads as well. Again, this is Western Districts Health Services website ad. And that was this is the be person-centered, focus on the team. Every job needs to be tailored for career stage, life stage, and whether you're going to need to attract from out of area. And as I say, that's the focus that we really have for those professionals and skilled workers that need to be attracted from outside the region. So I just want to talk about Western District Health Service, where we've been working with them since June 2022, and they're implementing the whole Attract, Connect, Stay framework. When we started with them, they had significant staffing challenges. Their aim is to attract skilled professionals. In particular, we've been working on the nursing and allied health, improve retention, and foster community integration. So as I said, they have difficulty attracting RNs and allied health. There were quite a lot of inefficiencies in the recruitment process that were revealed as we got into doing a sort of audit of what their processes were, and a lack of support for staff integration, both into the workplace and the community. So we did a comprehensive recruitment overhaul, promoting the lifestyle and professional opportunities in the region. We improved the onboarding process using new processes to ensure a smooth workplace integration, and to really make sure that we shorten the process as much as we can to make sure that they don't lose preferred candidates. And we really emphasised the importance of the relationship between the line manager and any future employees, and how early we can start establishing that. So in the job ads, they're always the contact person, not HR, because we know from the research that's really important. We established a community connector program, and we conducted training for recruiting managers, a series of workshops to talk about these changes and help them understand why and what they need to be doing. So this is what the Launchpad program does. After 27 months, remember I said measuring is really important. What's the target? So one of the key measures we had was a reduction in job vacancies. We know they're now faster filling of roles and there are fewer open positions. And the job advertisements per week has dropped from over 35 per week when we started to less than 20. So you can see this is where we started and this is where we're down now, and where the green line is our target. So we're getting there. This is slow work, slow, methodical work to get everything lined up and working well. Every recruitment has to be done well and tailored for who it is that you're trying to attract. And they've improved retention. So there's significantly less turnover and staff overall, and especially of category 3 and category 2 and category 3. Those are difficult and stubborn to recruit. Category 1 is ordinary recruitment. So this is 21, 22 on the far left side, and on the right-hand side, 23, 24. So that gives you an idea of how we're impacting turnover over the 27 months we've been working with them. As I said, this organisation is implementing all 5 pillars. They also have established a community connector program, and that started in June 23. Since then, there's been 34 new arrivals, 24 international and 10 domestic, 29 nurses, 5 allied health, and most of those allied health and nursing were stubborn to recruit positions. Most of them came with families, so we've been providing assistance for partner employment, And all of them have been, those that wanted employment have found employment or been supported to find employment. So we estimate the economic impact of this is about $4.5 million for the community by having this program in place. So what it does is ensure that avoidable turnover is addressed, and we provide all the tailored specific support that we know that my research has identified is essential that we address to make sure that people from out of area are job satisfied and personally satisfied, and their partners and their family members. So just the Launchpad program that I'm talking about deals, I'm just going to go through the 5 pillars and what each pillar is doing. So the attract issue is to deal with issues about difficulty in attracting skilled candidates to rural areas. And as we've briefly touched on today, we build a compelling employer value proposition and develop incentives based on the research that we know are the most impactful to attract top talent to hard roles. And this also involves job descriptions and job ads and many resources that we work through. It's the issue about finding candidates who fit both the job and community. And to do this, we create ideal candidate profiles, craft resonant job descriptions, and implement a selection process that ensures alignment with values of the organization and the community. So many tools and resources in that one that are proven effective that we've trialed with these clients. We know that new hires struggle to adapt to their roles and feel unsupported, and this is quite common not to do a good enough onboarding. We teach about an onboarding process that on all the things that need to be in that to make sure that we don't lay the seeds of turnover intention early on and people are job satisfied from the get-go. So these are all the things that you need to do, laying the ground for retention. There is a program being run in regional New South Wales called the Welcome Experience that is based on this research, and so it's also a good option. But for places that don't have access to that, then the need to establish a community connected program as a whole community. Western District Health Service has started off with Western District Health Service, but it's currently in the process of becoming a community-wide, and all the other ones. We've got a couple of people from New Zealand that are in the process of establishing this in their region as well. And we know that high turnover is due to a lack of long-term engagement and career development. And we talk about all sorts of solutions in this space and provide surveys and that we've tested based on the research on identifying what it is that people are needing and where are the systemic problems and what are the strategies. So the Community Connect program can deal with some of those. They can be a real advocate for some of the systemic problems in community, like housing issues, childcare issues, etc. So that's it for today. It's starting on the 1st of October. It's a comprehensive 4-month online program with webinars and an online resource that you can use. And we work together with across the 5 pillars. It will break in December and January. So we'll do all the organizational ones, the 3 first pillars, and we'll come back in February and touch on the Community Connector program or the Settle and Connect in community and the stay. It's practical evidence-based strategies. It's really for teams that are recruiting, line managers, HR managers, depending on the size of the organization, that can be owners. I really encourage it to be a team-based approach. This cultural change, as you can see, it took time for Western District Health Service to get all those things. That's a very large service needing to scale, but it is good if it can be more than one person leading the charge. You get personal support from me all through this process, both directly and through these webinars. And then we have one-on-one or organizational meetings to really tailor the strategies. And you get to engage with others that are experiencing the same problem. And if you enroll before the 23rd of September, there's a discount. And if you contact me, I also have very generous discounts for more than one person, more than anything. And if you're still not sure what any of that is about or whether it's for you, if you jump on the website, you can see you can just pretty easily book a free 30-minute consultation with me, and I can talk You can talk through what your specific needs are. And I could talk about whether this program is for you. I also do run the Community Connector program if that whet your appetite, but I won't be running that until I think March next year. But if you want to work with me, it won't be rerunning again until next year.